The foremost method for leading all beings to the path of Buddhahood is the Infinite Life Sutra. The Infinite Life Sutra, who is it aimed at? It's aimed at those who abstain from silver. It's for beings whose roots are mature. What does it mean to have mature roots? It means that in this lifetime, they are determined to become a Buddha. This is target audience of Infinite Life Sutra. So, in this lifetime of ours, we have come into contact with this method. What if we can't achieve rebirth? What would be the explanation for that? If you can't achieve rebirth, it's not due to the sutra's fault. It's because we didn't follow the teachings. You need to engage with it properly. If you truly follow the teachings, you will definitely become a Buddha in this lifetime. You'll be no different from Amitabha Buddha. This is true, not false. So all Buddhas and Tathagatas, when they encounter beings with the right conditions, will teach this Dharma. They should all encourage all beings to chant the Buddha's name and seek rebirth in the Pure Land. From this we can understand exceptional nature of this Dharma method and assembly. Really and indeed unmatched. This last part, it connects with some bodhisattvas. All these bodhisattvas specifically connect with the Buddhas. This era is even greater. In this great kalpa, as the Buddhists say, this great kalpa is the largest unit of time. Inside this big flag, straight, there are 1,000 Buddhas appearing in the Saha world. The Saha world is our current Great Thousand world. Our Earth is a small planet within the Great Thousand world. In the past, most people thought that the Great Thousand world mentioned by Buddhists was probably what we, now astronomers, have discovered as the Milky Way. A great world as described by Buddhists. But Elder Huang Nianzu had a different view. In the final notes of his commentary on the Infinite Life Sutra, there is an article he sent to me last. I was in Taiwan and he sent it from Beijing. He told me he hoped I would attach this piece to the end of the commentary because he missed this part when he was lecturing. He was a scientist. He taught radio science at university. At Tianjin University. He was a professor of the entire science curriculum at Tianjin University. So, according to his perspective, the Milky Way we talk about now is actually just a unit world as described in Buddhism. Also a book. This unit, world, Buddha described the solar system as the center. It's not centered on the solar system, but on Mount Sumeru. The sun also revolves around Mount Sumeru. So what's Mount Sumeru? Since ancient times, no one has been able to explain this clearly. Layman Huang said that Mount Sumeru should be the black hole discovered by astronomers. He says makes sense. Black holes. That's what we refer to today as the center of the universe. The center of the Milky Way. The sun indeed revolves around this. If his statement holds true, then how many Milky Ways are there in a great thousand world? 100 trillion Milky Ways? 100 trillion Milky Ways. That's what the Buddhist scriptures refer to as a great thousand world. This is the teaching domain of one Buddha. You all need to be clear and understand whether Shakyamuni Buddha has passed away or not. Shakyamuni Buddha appeared to pass away in our world, but he might be manifesting on another planet. There's no density. Wherever the conditions are ripe, that's where the Buddha will manifest. As mentioned in Hu Wenping, 1,000 manifestations responding to 1,000 requests. As mentioned in sutras, forming forms tears, meeting the minds of sentient beings by their capacities. The Buddha has no fixed form. Wherever there is a connection, that's where he appears. When the conditions are no longer there, the form also ceases to exist. So there's no birth and death. Who can realize this? This is true, not false. Then connecting within this great era, there are 1,000 Buddhas. In the Saho world, which is this great thousand world system, we should consider the vast scope of 10 trillion galaxies, as mentioned by Elder Huang. It's worth realizing the existence of 1,000 Buddhas. Shakyamuni Buddha, the fourth among the 1,000 Buddhas. Maitreya Buddha is the fifth, and there are still 9,995 Buddhas to come. They are currently in the position of bodhisattvas. In this connection, in the future, all those destined to become Buddhas will gather together. This is the meaning. Is it clearly telling us there isn't a single Buddha who doesn't speak of this sutra, not a single Buddha who doesn't promote this Dharma gate? There isn't a single Buddha who doesn't encourage all sentient beings, chant the Buddha's name, and seek rebirth in the Pure Land. We are in this place. We need to awaken. We need to truly grasp it. When we ascend to the Western Pure Land, in the future, in the Western Pure Land, we will all be veterans with seniority, because it is often clearly stated that it is Shakyamuni Buddha, not Amitabha Buddha. Since becoming a Buddha, it has only been 10 levels. In the boundless, in terms of time and space, it's very brief. Today, when we reach the Pure Land, we arrive very early. Those who go after the Buddha's transition are our juniors. So if you are reborn now, in the future you will be the senior to those people. You need to go quickly. Don't get caught in reincarnation. Each cycle of reincarnation is a fall. In the future, those who go now will all become Buddhas and great bodhisattvas. We would fall too far behind. I think this is something we don't want to see. We really don't want to see it, so we must work hard and be diligent. Diligently study. From this, we can understand truly receiving the teachings of all Buddhas and Tathagatas is not just about being virtuous and welcoming. Undoubtedly, this sutra is considered definitive. The practice of chanting the Buddha's name is seen as the foremost method. This is where we are in the first volume. We should learn it. Let's continue with the second section. The second batch is from the first chapter, continuing. Why did the elder not combine these two bottles into one? Actually, the initial membership book, Vis Liang Ping, indeed was combined into one. Let's look at the old master from Sizhu. The formal training saw it. The initial compilation by the elder from Sizhu was given a formal critique by the master. Moreover, this master of incantations presented this compiled version for the first time in Jinan. At that time, the original was divided into 37 sections. Not the current 48 chapters, as we imagine. Probably the elder Shia divided it into 37 parts. He kept revising and correcting the 37 sections later on. It was revised 10 times before becoming the final version, dividing the entire scripture into 48 sections. We imagine this is certainly related to Amitabha Buddha's 48 vows, using 48 to divide it. Thus, the first section was split into 2 sections. So why didn't they place the lay bodhisattvas in the first section? From our perspective, it seems reasonable because it symbolizes the teachings. Why? They wanted to divide it at this point. There must be a purpose behind it. Indeed, there is a very profound meaning. What is the meaning? Why specifically separate the section for lay people? It's to remind us this model, this scripture, is mainly to guide lay students. Don't think that achieving Buddhahood in this lifetime is only for monastics. We lay people have heavy karmic obstacles. The reason for dividing it here is to tell you not to doubt. Lay people can achieve Buddhahood in one lifetime. With the original vow. With Amitabha Buddha's original vow, it truly corresponds. This is Elder Shia's unique insight. It makes us alert as soon as we see this passage. Then you understand this meaning. This sutra indeed focuses on lay people. Why is that? Indeed, there are as many as 16 lay bodhisattvas. And these 16, what status do lay householders have? They are all equal enlightenment bodhisattvas. Now it deepens further. Their status is no different from Manjushri, Samantabhadra, and Avalokiteshvara. Buddhist community. Most of the manifestations of the Buddha are in the form of monastics. most of the manifestations of bodhisattvas are in the form of lay people. You see in China the 4 famous mountains, the 4 great bodhisattvas. These are within the Mahayana teachings, the pillars. The center of Mahayana teachings, the 4 bodhisattvas. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva manifests in a lay form. During the Tang dynasty, a prince from Korea after becoming a monk and coming to Mount Juhua in China, we came to know he was an incarnation of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. This belongs to the depiction of Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. It's condensed into a monastic form. You see, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva is imagined in a lay form. On the stage, Manjushri is also in a lay form. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva of Mount Amay appears in lay form. Maitreya Bodhisattva, if you want to know. Beijing. In the process of integration, you can see Maitreya Bodhisattva is also in a lay form. But in China, it is customary to refer to Maitreya Bodhisattva as the Laughing Buddha in a monastic form. The Laughing Buddha appeared during the Southern Song dynasty in the era of Emperor Gaozong, contemporaneous with Yu Fei. When he passed away, he told everyone that he was the reincarnation of Maitreya Bodhisattva. After saying that, he left, and thus it ended. This is also a rule within Buddhism. When Buddhas or Bodhisattvas reincarnate, they never reveal their identity. Once their identity is revealed, it is accepted as true. If the identity is revealed and they haven't left, then it's fake, not real. Nowadays we hear in many places that a certain monk is a reincarnation of a Buddha, or a certain layperson is a reincarnation of a Bodhisattva, but they say it and don't leave. This is unreliable. If they say it and then leave, it's real, not fake. If they say it and don't leave, it's definitely not real. Now, V16. Bodhisattvas, actually. The number of bodhisattvas present exceeds 12,000 people. There were too many bodhisattvas, too many. This collapse here, this Saha world, is not just on our Earth. Bodhisattvas from other planets came to attend this Dharma assembly. Other worlds are not the Saha world. Bodhisattvas from the countless Buddha lands all came to participate. There were too many bodhisattvas, too many. Especially mentioning the 16. 16 symbolizes the Dharma, representing completeness. In our Buddhism, there are some mysteries. These are 2 systems. In the teachings of the sages, it's expressed in the Amitabha Sutra. It represents completeness, not a number. What does it actually refer to? The 4 directions of east, south, west, and north, and the 6 of up and down, the center. That center, this symbolizes completeness, not a number. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, 10 is used to represent completeness. It's not a fact either. 10 represents completeness. So in Vajrayana, it's often used. 16. 16 in Vajrayana represents completeness, so it's not a number either. Everywhere it signifies something. the completeness of Buddhism. So these 16 names also symbolize the Dharma, which we need to learn here. We must not miss it. These 16 are waiting as lay bodhisattvas. The first one is Venerable Shanhu. Here it is called formal. Right thinking is bodhisattva. Don't sink. What about bodhisattvas usually? Called master. You see, we call Guanyin master. Paxian master becomes master. Also called temple. Truly right enlightenment. Right equal enlightenment. That's what it means. Also called opening the temple, which means great enlightenment, understanding the mind and seeing one's nature. We call it the beginning of formal, major events, or honorifics for bodhisattvas. Students, you need to remember this place. One cannot become a master. Teachers, this title of master is not appropriate. Who is the title of master for? It is for the Buddha. An equal enlightenment bodhisattva can only become a major figure, not a master. You see, now we see many monks. They all call themselves masters. This title is not appropriate. The ancients spoke of kin and yu. Have you become a Buddha? If you haven't become a Buddha, you cannot become a major figure. Buddha is the temple of the heavenly and human realms. Calling yourself a master is too much. Even Bodhisattva Guanyin doesn't dare to call themselves a master. When Manjushri and Samantabhadra see a master, they bow 3 times and circle 3 times. Do you have such great blessings? Can you handle it? This is basic common sense to know. We address people respectfully, but if it goes too far, it becomes disrespectful. For example, we respectfully address someone as Mr. Chen when we meet them. That's very respectful, but if you meet someone and call them Mr. President, isn't that insulting? Right. You're not the president, are you? If I meet you and say, hello, Mr. President, isn't that so? That's going too far. Everyone must understand this. When you meet a monk, you should address them appropriately. Going too far is like calling someone Mr. President. The title doesn't match. We need to understand this common sense. People are unaware. They don't have basic understanding of Buddhism, thinking that addressing someone as a great achiever is respectful. But how would they know? This is the meaning, and it shouldn't be done. You see, we call Master Yingguang a master. After he passed away, he was no longer in this world. We can respectfully call him that, after he passed away. Look at when he was still alive. The writings of Master Yingguang that were circulated were not titled as a master. Only after he passed away did we title his writings as Master Yingguang's works. Look at the early writings of Master Yingbang. He didn't call himself a great master, and others definitely wouldn't dare to call him that in front of him. He would scold people for that. So, in our Buddhist community, there are some customary titles in the past. Founder is called patriarch. This is the founder of a sect. They called those who translated the scriptures Tripitaka masters. They didn't achieve great things. Tripitaka masters. They were well versed in the teachings, scriptures and history. They were called masters. The lawyer Cheng is well versed in Tibetan affairs. Those who were well versed in the Abhidharma were called Abhidharma masters. These were all common titles. Where have you heard of anyone being called a great master? No one dared to use that title. In the past, the teacher of the emperor was called Guoshi. We are now studying Huiyang. Master Qingliang was the teacher of the emperor, and he passed away. Who didn't? But you should know that only the patriarchs of the Pure Land School can be called great masters. This is recognized throughout history. The patriarchs of other schools cannot be called great masters. Only the Pure Land School. Why is that? The Pure Land School teaches people to become Buddhas equally in one lifetime. All Buddhas use this method. Today, if you use this method to encourage people to recite the Buddha's name, you also become a Buddha equally, just like the Buddhas. Only the patriarchs of the Pure Land School are great masters. This is a washing pot. These are the 16 venerable ones. The 16 principal ones are lay bodhisattvas at the level of equal enlightenment. They are people from our Saha world. They lived in the same era as Shakyamuni Buddha. The following discusses the 5 positions. The lay bodhisattvas at the level of equal enlightenment come from other worlds. This is quite interesting. Shanhu is the host of our Saha world, the local host, while the others are guests. The manifestation of the Buddha shook this method. Restricted area impacting the Dharma realm, or the lands of all Buddhas. When you talk about other sutras, they don't have this power. Only discussing this can bring about order. Calm, the void transforms the Dharma realm. Therefore, the bodhisattvas from the liberated worlds naturally come to this place to support the Dharma assembly. The bodhisattvas coming to the Dharma assembly are many. The virtuous Buddha and bodhisattvas act as hosts. Actually, the host is not just the virtuous one alone. There are many bodhisattvas in the Saha world too. Why use it? To express it with this name. At home, the first mission is to protect the Dharma. Ordained bodhisattvas, the first mission is to propagate the Dharma. Of course, propagating the Dharma also requires protecting the Dharma. These two tasks, propagation and protection, for the ordained, propagation is the main focus. Protection of the Dharma is secondary. For lay bodhisattvas, protection of the Dharma is the main focus, with propagation as secondary. Both propagation and protection need to be balanced, and within this balance, there is a distinction between host and guest. Among the 4 types of practitioners, there must be close cooperation. Only then can the Dharma endure in the world for a long time and benefit all beings. The 4 types must cooperate closely. They cannot be divided. You see, today in the Dharma, there is no unity. Our manpower and financial resources are all scattered. This is a great loss. There is a huge loss, and even more so to all beings.